be moderated by Mathew Whalley, who's the editor of Capacity magazine. Mathew?
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. My name is Mathew, I'm the editor of Capacity magazine. Capacity magazine is an international carrier-to-carrier business magazine with over 6,000 subscribers. Part of the Capacity operations include Capacity conferences, Capacity magazine, and ITW, or International Telecoms Week. First off, I'd like to thank PLDT for inviting Capacity to be the official media sponsor of the ACC and for organizing a fantastic event. Just as a reminder, I have Drew Kelton, Managing Director of Telstra International to my left. Stephane, Dartigue, du Fournet on his left, and Philippe Millet. So today, all morning we've been discussing change and the changing world of international telecoms. What I'll be focusing on in this roundtable is where the industry is at and where we're going, and to see where we are and what the potential is for the future. To begin with, I'll be asking questions about the migration of IP, and then we'll look at the broader issues facing international wholesale or carrier-to-carrier business. Just to start off, I'd like to ask the panel, why is it important for the industry to be discussing the migration of IP now? Why is the timing right?
Why is it important? It's important if we, okay, let me go back to the first thing. It all depends on whether you believe it's going to happen or not. And I personally, I think quite a lot of us believe that this transition to IP will happen, no matter what. It is already happening at the domestic level in many countries. IP-based services is already a reality, and it's going to get worse or better, whichever way you look at it. So we are going there, no matter what. The next question is, how do we get there in the best possible way for us? Meaning, how do we get there and maximize the benefits from this transition? How do we get there and minimize the pain of transitioning? And one of the beliefs is that the longer we stay kind of stuck in between the two worlds, the longer we have the worst of both worlds. And the faster we get to the other side of the river, the faster we actually benefit from this, all the good things of this brand new world. So this is why it's important to discuss it, and this is why it's important to discuss it at the industry level, because none of us on its own can make it happen. You can have all the right ideas, all the right technology, all the right people. If you're on your own in this industry, you don't go nowhere.
So how far along are we on this journey?
That's a really good question. I think we're really starting as an industry again. There's a real diversity of situations. Some carriers are already all IP and we're born all IP. And I'm talking retail as much as international wholesale. Of course, some other carriers are pretty much 100% GDM still. Again, both domestic and international. Voice over IP at the transport level has been a reality for a lot of time, and maybe it's a sizable chunk of the international traffic today, but it's just the transport level. It could be pigeons, it could be whatever, it just doesn't impact the industry, just as transport thing. So I don't think that percentage is a real measure of how far advanced we are in terms of transitioning. You start really transitioning when your switches become soft switches, when your link to retail services are over IP. And that we're only starting with.
So Stephane, what kind of lessons has France Telecom learned as it's been looking at this migration to IP?
On the business standpoint, as Philippe said, whatever we do, we will have to go to IP. We need to be in that train. But at the same time, everybody will not be in the same pace. And we need to address all the needs, whatever they are. What I think we need to improve is customers' confidence. I still know a lot of professional carriers which are not yet fully secure with IP. And this is maybe the first step, is to demonstrate through prototype pilot phase that IP can provide the same, at least the same quality, the same security. So it's, I would say, daily work to make sure everybody will be at the same pace over time.
So how do you inspire confidence in carriers, or sort of encourage them to look at this transformation and making the most of it?
Well, basically, we will convince them to implement force connection on top of the existing one. Sure. And then we will carry the traffic, and they will see by themselves that at the end of the day it works perfectly, and they get the quality they want.
Sure. So many discussions in the carrier industry focus on IP, and obviously this is very much focused on IP. But let's ask the panel, what role do you believe TDM will have in the future?
A role. I mean, it's not going to be phased out like overnight, as much as we might want it. TDM is a reality for a few years, maybe a decade. It's not reasonable to, I don't think it's reasonable to imagine that TDM, but I mean, it's like the long tail thing. Okay, in terms of destinations, in terms of traffic, being able to handle TDM will remain something important, but it will be the exception to the rule. It will be your soft switch with your TDM ports, because to reach, I don't know which country, I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm not going to, but you know, some countries or some carriers will remain TDM, and maybe for them it makes a lot of sense. You know, I mean, I'm not criticizing this, but time hasn't come for them to transition, or it's complicated, or whatever. So yeah, TDM will be there, but you manage it as the long tail.
Just to add one point, I remember last century I was looking after data services, and every year we were saying X25 is dead. No more X25. However, it took maybe 10 years to, I would say, not to get it, but so that X25 has really become a very no-use service. So I think we can take the same analogy with TDM. It will take time, and this is a long take.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said as well by what the equipment vendors in support of the technologies continue to do. It's an interesting transition. I'm looking predominantly domestically in Telstra in Australia, that we made a decision to start to move out of some of our core legacy services which were deployed using TDM platforms. And that caused a really interesting challenge with customers, because our customers were not ready in a lot of cases to transition into new services. So I think it's an interesting dynamic and inflection point, because at some stage, if I was Alcatel or Suntor or Nortel if they exist, or Cisco, whatever, Cisco, I would never produce a TDM device in the future. So then as a supplier and as a user, how do we support legacy transport systems? So I think that would be a huge driver. I think the other piece is interesting about it, we have to be very careful with the equipment vendors which use the transition into IP as a vehicle to once again marginalize the role of the carrier to becoming a commoditized supplier of zero-cost dial tone. And that's very, very dangerous from our perspective. And whilst I think we should and will continue to fully embrace IP transformation, I think we're going to be very careful that as we're pushed down to becoming a access provider, because the enablement of the slots are provided by CPE or handset devices, is a very, very dangerous transition.